Our world tells you to chase success, build your own brand, and make your business all about yourself. But what if your drive was never meant to serve you? What if your ambition is a God-given gift? Today, we're going to talk about the tension between boss babe culture and kingdom-driven ambition and what God actually wants to use your drive for in his kingdom. We're going to start off by looking at Genesis 1:26 through 27. It says, "Then God said, 'Let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth.' So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them." So what we see from this is that God made humanity, both men and women together, to rule, to create. This is part of what it means for us to be made in his image, is that we are creative beings. And just like God created the world from nothingness, we're called to image him, to act like that by taking barrenness and unfruitfulness in our own lives and in the world and creating beauty and order and fruitfulness from it. In his book, Garden City, John Mark Comer says, "Why did God make humanity? So that they may rule." In Hebrew, the original language, it's even clearer. The text can be translated, "God made human in order to rule." You and I were created to rule over the earth. That's our meaning, our purpose. It's why we exist. This language of ruling is a little weird sounding to most of us. I doubt the last time your boss asked you what you were doing, you said, "Just ruling over my email." But ruling is a lot like what we call work. That drive to rule is part of your DNA. It's part of how God made you. And that's a gift from God. He gave that to you to be able to do the thing that he's called you to do in the world. It's not an accident that you have a drive, an ambition to do something meaningful, to make something that will outlast you, to do something that has impact in the world, to do something big and important. We all have that drive, that desire to do something really meaningful with our lives. And that is not an accident, and that's not a bad thing. It's actually a gift from God. It's exactly what he made you to do. So we just need to look at, well, how do we use that drive and use that ambition for good? Because obviously we see many examples in the world of how the drive and that ambition can be used for very bad things, right? So how do we do this in a way that actually glorifies God and that is good for the world? The danger is that you have three enemies. You have the world, the flesh, which is your own sinful desires, and the devil. And they are all out to take that drive that God has given you, that dominion DNA that you have inside of you, and they want to twist it. They want to co-opt it. They want to hijack that drive and that ambition that you have, and they want you to use it for evil. They want you to use it for selfishness. Michael Reeves explains the nature of sin this way. He said, "Martin Luther defined the sinner as the person curved in on himself, no longer outgoingly loving like God, no longer looking to God, but inward looking, self-obsessed, devilish. Such a person might well behave morally or religiously, but all they did would simply express their fundamental love for themselves." So what we see from this is that turning inward on ourselves, that is the heart of our sinful nature. That is kind of the root of all other sin. We can look very moral and religious on the outside, but it's about, what is our heart doing? Is our heart inward facing and selfish, or is it outward facing like God's heart is, to look at how we are affecting other people, giving of ourselves for others, giving of ourselves to the Lord and worshiping him? Sin isn't as much about what we do outwardly, although it includes that. It's more about our inward posture of, are we being selfish or outgoingly loving? Who are we looking like? Are we looking like the devil, or are we looking like our God? Take the boss babe world, for example. If you aren't familiar with what I mean by the boss babe world, I'm not talking about any specific brand, but more just the movement where women have taken on this label of, I'm a boss babe. And it has a lot of cultural trappings that have been very focused on money just for money's sake and a very selfish view of wealth. It lays out this vision of success that says, I'm going to make as much money as possible, and then I'm going to spend it however I want. Nobody can tell me how to spend that. And that is just such a small, selfish view of wealth. And that's what sin does, isn't it? It takes something beautiful and God-given, like the drive to build something like a business, the drive to make money, which is fruitfulness. That's a good thing biblically. But it takes that idea and then it makes it very selfish, very inward focused, very small. That drive that you have for success, that is a God-given gift and it is so good. It's supposed to be used to bless other people, to create more kingdom fruitfulness. But instead, we can easily take that drive, that ambition that we have, and just simply use it for ourselves. I'm going to tell a little story here to illustrate this. Back when my husband and I were first married, I kind of was getting my feet wet with business. I was really interested in it. And I thought, well, why don't I just try this multi-level marketing thing? So there was this company and I really liked their products. And I thought, okay, let me try to like sell this stuff. Maybe that's how I'll do my business. I went to one of their training meetings. I only went to one because I don't know, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, to be honest. But the training meeting, it was all about finding your why. And they were like, you need to know your why in business. Like, why are you doing this? And I was like, yeah, we need to know, the deeper meaning behind what we're doing. And they were like, okay, so everybody get a piece of paper and write down, what is your why? And then they gave examples and they were like, do you want to have a yacht? Or do you want to vacation in Hawaii? Or do you want to drive a Rolls Royce? Or I forget what brand they used, but like, it was such selfish things, such luxury items that there's nothing wrong with having a luxury item. But to say, what is your why in business? It's because I want to have a yacht or I want a vacation in Hawaii. Like, that is just so small and selfish. And I was just kind of like, is that as far as you guys are going? Like, there is so much more here. There is so much more meaning and purpose that's going to get you through the hard times. And this is why I hate that kind of thinking, because if your drive to be in business is selfish, like I want more stuff, I want a better lifestyle for myself, then what is going to happen when you are doing your business and life gets really hard? The business gets really hard and it's not fun. It's a call to die to yourself. Right? In order to be in business for the long haul, you have to set aside the momentary comfort. If you're in it to look for more comfort from stuff and lifestyle, and then you're like, well, I don't really want to write an email today. What's going to win? That's why most people don't make it in business, because they're in it for the wrong reason. They're in it for comfort and selfishness, and they aren't willing to take those small steps of discomfort to get to long-term comfort, because that's not how selfishness works. But biblical motivation does work that way. Kingdom motivation does work that way. You can say, I am in this because I know that God is calling me to this, and I want to make an impact, and you are willing to sacrifice momentary comfort for that. That is so much better of a motivation than I want to vacation in Hawaii. Nothing wrong with vacationing in Hawaii, and you should make enough money to have that option. I'm definitely not saying that that's bad. I'm saying that's not a primary motivation, and that will fail you as a motivation. We need to see the emptiness of worldly success. Jesus isn't calling us to less than what the world says is successful. He's calling us to so much more. That's the key. We are called to full, fruitful, kingdom-building, Jesus-oriented lives. And that is a much more vibrant, full, exciting life than the counterfeit that the world is trying to distract you with. As C.S. Lewis famously put it, we are far too easily pleased. The answer is not to give up your drive for success. God wants you to build, to create, to do important things, to do fun, exciting projects. That's what the Lord would love for you to do. But the key is to know that in that drive, you are always worshiping something. Your heart is always outwardly focused toward the Lord and to your neighbor, or inwardly focused in selfishness towards yourself. Every single day is a war for your worship. And when I say that, your worship is so much more than just what you profess that you worship. I'm sure that most people watching this YouTube video would say that Jesus is who they worship. But every single day we are making choices that put on display what our heart's affections are actually toward? Are they actually toward the Lord and his kingdom? Are they toward Jesus? Or are they toward our own kingdom? Are we obsessed with ourselves and our own selfishness, building our own thing? Or are we obsessed with Jesus? Your worship includes all of you. What you admire, what you work toward, what you're obsessed with, what you think about when you're daydreaming. Romans 12:1 says, I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. How we present ourselves every day in our work, in our interactions with other people, in all the things that we do in our everyday lives. This verse is saying that is your spiritual worship. Paul David Tripp explains it this way. Human beings, by their very nature, are worshipers. Worship is not something we do. It defines who we are. You cannot divide human beings into those who worship and those who don't. Everybody worships. It's just a matter of what or whom we serve. Who our eyes are fixed on, ourselves or the Creator, defines how we take dominion. And whether our dominion looks like God's dominion, which is for fruitfulness and for the good of others, especially the poor and the needy, or if our dominion looks like Adam's dominion, which brought death and decay and destruction. But here's where it gets really exciting. Romans 5:17 says, For if by the trespass of the one man, death reigned through that one man, speaking of Adam, how much more will those who receive God's abundant provision of grace and of the gift of righteousness reign in life through the one man, Jesus Christ? Now, John Mark Comer explains this passage this way. This is an unexpected twist. Paul's basic idea is that because of Adam's disobedience, we all die, but because of Jesus' obedience, we all live. But in this statement, he takes it to the next level. Not only do we live, but we reign in life. Whoa, slow this down. Reign is king language. It's Genesis language. Reign is what we were supposed to do all along before Adam mucked it all up. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. God's original intent was always for a human being to rule over the world. Adam had the first crack at it, and he failed. If you know the story of the Bible, you know that next God called Abraham and his family to take another shot. But tragically, they failed too. What is the Old Testament but the story of one ruler after another trying to do what Adam was supposed to do, rule over the earth in a life-giving way, but failing often miserably? But where Adam and Abraham and Israel and you and I all failed, Jesus didn't. He did what Adam was supposed to do, but couldn't. What Israel was supposed to do, but couldn't. What we were supposed to do, but couldn't. So we're not left to ourselves to figure out how to take dominion. Jesus, our high priest, our king, our captain, goes before us and he shows us how he takes dominion. And in fact, our dominion, everything that we do to rule and create and cultivate, all of that is done under his authority. And we are supposed to do that in a way that mimics the way that he takes dominion, which is as a servant. Right? It's life-giving to those under him. It's not for selfish gain. It is for the good of especially those who are the weakest. He invites us to actively partner with him in what he's doing in the world, and we get to join him in that mission. We don't have to figure out making meaning for ourselves. We don't have to figure out how to build our own empire. We already are part of an empire. We are part of Jesus's empire. And everything that we do should be a reflection of his kingdom, should be part of his kingdom. It should be done in the way that he would want us to do it, to mimic his character in how he takes dominion. When our eyes are fixed on Jesus, we will naturally take dominion in the way that he does. We will look like the one that we worship. We will take dominion like King Jesus does. When our eyes are fixed on him, when our hearts are toward him, when we are looking to him as our example and as our king, we will reflect the way that he rules. And that is such good news because the first Adam failed. And if we act like the first Adam in selfishness, we will fail too. In Jesus, we have been given everything that we need for life and godliness, everything we need to take dominion in the proper way. That's how good Jesus is. And isn't that exciting? We don't have to figure this out on our own. He is going before us and we get to take dominion with him. So all of this boils down to one key thing for you to remember. And that is that everything that you do is an act of worship today. The way that you do your emails, the way that you run your client meetings, the way that you market yourself, the way that you get up in the morning and do a morning routine, all of those things are part of how you worship God, and he cares about it. And in Jesus, you've been given everything that you need for that task. You are Jesus's ambassador to the world. And when you worship him and you keep your eyes fixed on him, he will give you everything that you need for life and godliness. He will give you everything you need to take that dominion drive, that DNA that's inside of you, that ambition, and use it for his kingdom and his glory. Real quick, if you're a Christian entrepreneur and you know you have a calling from the Lord and you're excited about your business, but you find yourself getting stuck, I want you to take the quiz that I've linked for you below, where it helps you find what your limiting beliefs are in your business life and where you're getting stuck emotionally, and help you get free from those. So make sure you take that quiz, which you can find at the link in the description box. And I'll see you in the next video.